are watching 32 teams in 32 days on the Game Time Sports Network.
It's a great day, sports world. So now the third team in the AFC North. We tackling the Cincinnati Bengals today. This is one of Bond's favorite quarterbacks teams in Joe Burrow. So we might be we might be an hour and some and plus change of how he's gonna be glazing and going all over Joe Burrow today. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing all right, good brother, man. Good glorious Sunday. We got the Cincinnati Bengals. You probably got my favorite quarterback in the league right now. We're gonna talk about. I'm gonna try to restrain myself. I'm gonna hold it for a minute, but Blair, if I get to going, just shut me down.
Uh, this team, we'll start with the offensive side of the ball, man. They were 12th in points per game and 24.4 third downs. They were fifth. Red zone, they were second. They had 24 turnovers, which was tied for like 27. They had 14 sacks taken. Run game, they were 29. Uh, what's this? And they missed the playoffs for like a third straight year. What's your overall assessment of the Cincinnati Bengals in 2025? We're about to get into Joe Burrow here in a second. You can go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, disappointment is the word that comes to mind. Anything. I'm gonna say this. Since that 2021 year when they went to the Super Bowl and they lost on the last second to the Rams, everything else has been a disappointment in my humble opinion because I have high expectations for this team in general. As we can look at Zach Taylor's record here, his first two seasons, 16, 6 and 25, 20, 2011. Last 2 years, he's, dwindled back down to 500, 52, 63, and 1 over
Mm.
the last 8 years. You would think with the caliber of quarterback, wide receivers, and running back, as you can, we know they got a stud back there. Now, this team will put up points and they will, be another Super Bowl, if not won one by now. So the 2025 season, I'm a little disappointed. Defense let them down. They still hadn't got anything from their rookie and Shamar. What's it? Shamar Stewart. Um,
Currently injured right now, by the way.
Currently injured right now. Trey Hendrickson, they was fighting contract battles. They didn't want to pay him, so we knew that ultimately this was his last year in Cincinnati. And just the corner position, is young. And then they traded Logan Wilson mid-season to the Cowboys for a late round pick. So, they're trying to get younger, shuffle the board, and we'll talk about this defense in whole here in a very few seconds because they added a number 10 overall pick, and gave him a big bag after that as well. And hopefully he can, be the turning force on this defense and get them back on the right direction because we know the Bengals going to put up points. They're going to put up points, if the offensive line allows them to. And that's another thing we'll talk about is can you get one or two takeaways more, one or two stops more when it's needed to seal a game? Can the defense win games for you? Maybe one or two. Not saying you got to win them all, but can you give me one or two?
Let's go into the defense. At 28.9 points per game, they were 30th. Yards per game, 31st. Third down, they were 28th. In the red zone, 24th. That pass defense, not looking good. The pass rusher, just 35 sacks. That was tied for 22nd. The quarterback pressure was the 22nd. Their run defense, 5.2 yards a pop they were allowing. That was next to dead last. Pretty much, you can put them in that category of dead last, and then 32nd in yards per game. But then this offseason here, you bring it to the rescue. Can Dexter Lawrence and Jonathan Allen help fix the run defense? I know they had a host of other defensive talent, and we'll get into that in a few seconds here. But just on those two alone, and last year I put the graphic back up, but last year they Dexter Lawrence, I want to say I don't know how many sacks he had the year in 2024, but he only had half a sack last year, and he played 17 games. Year before, he played 12 games, and I want to say he had like well over 5, 6 sacks.
Yeah, he was a monster.
Yeah, he was a monster. Jonathan Allen, he had 3.5 sacks, but his best years were in Washington, and they're way behind him. So can these two, including a host of others, can these two at least be the focal point of bringing this defense back and helping this offense?
I don't necessarily say they have to be the focal point, but they have to be a cog for them. Because Dexter Lawrence, he's a top 5, 6 DT in the game, and you
Yeah,
got Jonathan Allen that can still give you some production from the inside. If we can get Dexter Lawrence to that back to that 2024, 2023, 2024 season, and hey, they're on the right path. They have to be, man, because look at these numbers, man. 28th, 24th, pass rush, run defense, dead last and pass and run defense. And we know Dexter Lawrence, that's his specialist. He's a guy that's gonna control the A gaps on both sides of the center and guard. He can give you a little penetration, but he's ultimately a grade A run stuffer. So I think these two are definitely a help, but they need to have the first round picks and second round picks that they've drafted in the last 2 3 years to step up and be contributing factors to this team as well, because they just haven't had that. And to help these corners, that we'll talk about, DJ Turner and Dax Hill, both these guys out of the University of Michigan, of course. They're solid. They're young. But I think in order for them to take the next step, they have to have a front seven that's competent, that can help them, maybe stick to the man, the wide receiver a second or two longer, to get turnovers and incompletions, man. So hopefully for Big Dexter Lawrence and Jonathan Allen, they can come through and be that stabilizer force in the middle of the defense. I'm not saying you got to be top 10 defense, top five, but can you be middle of the pack? Can you be 15th and 16th? Because throughout history of the NFL, teams that win championships outside the Baltimore Ravens, the Chicago Bears, teams are in the middle pack of being a overall defensive unit. So I feel like if they can get there, they give themselves a good chance to go have a deep playoff run.
yeah. As I said, Lawrence had 9 sacks in 12 games the year before, led 2024. So if he does most of his work in that, stopping the run, drawing on double teams and things like that. So
That's a bonus. You get 9 sacks from an interior pass. That's a bonus.
yeah, let's talk about um, the key additions while we're here. So the key departures, of course, we talk about Trey Hendrickson, Joseph Asai, uh, Geno Stone, those guys right there. Cam Taylor Britt. I was looking at Joseph Asai. I was like, I thought he had signed with them this year, but
No,
but
he been with them for a minute.
it was Boye Mafe that
Yeah.
yeah. So I always go with the Africans, man.
See, look at oh my Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Oh my
um,
God. Oh Lord Jesus.
don't cancel us, man.
Oh my God, bro.
Don't cancel us. Next to Lawrence, Kyle Duggar, back then at safety, for safety help. Noah Fant, an experienced tight end. Brian Cook coming over from the Chiefs, so that's some championship experience. And then we know Jonathan Allen. So what? As I always ask, what departure is gonna you think will hurt this team the most? Which I think where I know where you're going to go, and which addition is going to help this team the most.
Yeah, man. For key departures, I'm gonna take the low hanging fruit here in Trey Hendrickson. I think when he was like Mr. Rollback said a few days ago, when he's on the field, it's not pretty, it's not sexy, but it's effective. He's always getting to the backfield. He had a league high or tied for league high like 16, 17 sacks one season, not that long ago. So I think that's much needed. That's 16. Let's say 12 plus sacks just leaving the building. But then again, like I said in the previous block, you waiting for Shamar, Stewart and Murphy to come alive on the defensive line. And then the key additions, of course, you take Dexter Lawrence. I'm gonna take Boye Mafe too, coming over from the Seattle Seahawks on a 3 year, $60 million deal, to give the defensive line room some needed juice. We know what type of player he is. He's going to do everything that's needed to win, stop the run, give you a little bit of pass rush, not a whole lot, but he's going to give you some. And I'm gonna say, I got another one for you, Larry, as well. I'm gonna go Josh Johnson. I feel like he's been in the league since we were 2, 3 years old. He don't play for every team in the league, I believe. So he's
Yeah.
experienced. He's experienced veteran. And been there, done that, done seen some stuff. Not a lot of playoff experience. I don't think he has any playoff starts. But he's been in some playoff pressure moments. Being the backup on a couple teams. If something was to happen to Joe Burrow, knock on wood, I think he'll be, efficient enough or competent enough to keep this the car on the road for a few games. If Joe Burrow goes down for maybe one or two.
When you still got Joe Flacco over there as well.
Yeah,
So
if Joe Flacco as well, you're absolutely right. But that's a heck of a quarterback room between experience, starts, and star power. That's a heck of a quarterback room.
exactly. Boye Mafe didn't hasn't seen over 5, 6 sacks since like 2023. When he was with Seattle, he had 9, and then the following season he had 6. Last year he had 2. So you were spot on when you said not much pass rush production, but as far as maybe helping out in the run game, where again Cincinnati was one of the dead last teams in that last season. I'm gonna go probably piggyback off you. I'm gonna go like maybe Jonathan Allen and Dexter Lawrence. Where that defense was last year, you got to show it up. And I think if at their healthiest, they can be a middle of the pack, maybe a top 10 run defense somewhere in there. Interior pass rush, pass rushing on the outside. They only had 35 sacks last year, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think the defense has a chance to be, a middle of the pack unit, a good unit. Got to get that first round pick, Shamar Stewart. I think he has a high ankle sprain, so he's gonna be missing some time. I don't know the exact length of it right now, but it had to happen a couple weeks ago.
It's like a
Uh,
hyperextension.
Hyperx, yeah, it's not a high ankle sprain, but hyperextended. So he's gonna be out for a lengthy amount of time, and who knows when that is. But he got to get going because he was a late participant last year due to trying to get his contract situation straight. I can't talk. Trying to get his contract situation straight, so he was late to the party in camp, and he didn't have much production last year. Correct.
This is little to none.
So, and then with Miles Murphy, another one, got to get him going. I think he had a pretty stellar year last year, coming up, but maybe he can take that next leap. Going to the draft picks, Cash is how another defensive end that they took in the early rounds. The second round, 41, Takario Davis, cornerback out of Washington. The third round, Connor Lew, center in the fourth round. Kobe Young, wide receiver in the fourth round. Brian Parker, the second center in the sixth round. In the seventh round, they took a tight end, Jack Injuries, and defensive tackle Landon Robinson out of Navy in the seventh round. I kind of feel where I know where you're going. Probably going the first pick. In which of these draft picks got to hit, or which one is stands out to you the most?
I'm gonna throw you a loop here. I'm going with Connor Lew.
Okay.
Fourth round pick 128. Some people had him graded as a first round talent back early in the draft process as a off the center for the Auburn Tigers. He dealt with the injury. I think it was ACL year before last, so he was trying to get back into his flow of being the football player. Year one, second year last year. So he's trying to. He is a piece. He reminds me of I can't think of the center name right now. When it come back to me, I'll tell you. But he's like who's the center for the not Kelsey, the center
Okay.
for the Eagles right now. I can't think of
Uh,
his name
uh,
right now.
uh,
It's not Landon Dickerson. I know it's not. Is it
nah,
Dickerson?
nah.
It'll come to me. But yeah, I think Connor Lew to revamp his offensive line um, is key for this team. That's a big spot that we know they struggled with in the past because they had Alex Capel and all those guys come in and out the door at the guard center guard spot. So I'm gonna go with Connor Lou right here as a key piece that I'm looking forward to watching, and how he can keep Joe Burrow upright. To get the ball to the weapons.
And Connor can play multiple positions, right?
Yes.
Because right now you got Ted Karras in front of him, and I don't know how that camp battle is going, but I like that one. I like that loop that you throw there. My pick of the first two, and Cash is how you need as much pass rush as you can get coming from that unit, and then Takario Davis. Listen, with those corners, I don't know the contract situations for those corners that they have over there now, but there's always room for that next group coming up. Speaking of that O line, look at those stats from last year. Orlando Brown Jr. 8.5 sacks allowed. Dylan Fairchild had 3 sacks. Ted Karras 3 sacks. Dalton Reisner, former Bronco, 3.5 sacks, and then Marius Mims 6.5 sacks. Didn't protect Burrow pretty well, and as well as the backups. What you think about this offensive line, and what I thought they added offensive lineman as well. I want to say I thought they did. But.
Yeah, I'm not really sure if they added anybody or not. Maybe they have, but I like big year from Mims, being a first round pick out of Georgia a few years back. Dalton Reisner, he's been around the league. Ted Karras, he don't excite me. That's why I'm so excited about Connor Lou. Don't be surprised if that spot get taken or in camp. And Orlando Brown, he's been around for a while. He's been with the Ravens, won a big bag, didn't get it there, so he came to the Bengals to try to prove himself. He's been steady Eddie. Giving up an 8.5 sacks is unacceptable for the type of player that I know he can be. So yeah, it's just a subpar line, but Marius Mims, he has to take the next step in his development to make this offensive line tick and go at the full potential that they need it to be.
That's a former first pick too, right?
First round, Marius Mims, yes, sir.
Yeah, they're not hitting on any first round picks, man. No, they didn't give one Dexter Lawrence their first round pick this year, so
Yeah,
and
I'm not gonna say they're not hitting. It's just I'm not gonna say they're not gonna hit until they off the team. The jury's still out on, but it ain't looking too good for the guys we talked about previously, Miles Murphy, et cetera, et cetera. So the jury's still out on them. They have to have something before they move on in 2027, or at least see some, improvement, if that makes sense.
okay, like Shamar Stewart was their first pick. Demetrius Knight was their second pick, which he seemed to be hitting.
Yeah.
In 2024, their first pick was Amarius Mims, Chris Jenkins, who I think could eclipse and have a better year coming up this year. That was a second round pick. The third round pick that year was Jermaine Burton, and I don't know if he's scratching the surface.
He not even in the league no more.
Yeah, that's crazy. And Miles Murphy, DJ Turner, first and second picks in 2023. So they gotta be able to hit on those picks right there. Daxton Hill and Cam Taylor Britt
was 2022, right?
in 22. So they we got some draft questions up
Well,
there.
yeah, man. I'm gonna tell you one thing, man. I don't see none of the first round picks with extensions. So it's tough, and it's tough, man, because and I know we joking, but it's tough because you're wasting prime Joe Burrow years, to win. And we already know, we talked about it last year. Everybody's seen the Netflix documentary. When is enough is enough? Like when is it? Even if that question don't come out of his mouth per se, they're gonna be rumblings. Like we talked about Lamar a few days ago. When is enough enough? When do I say, hey, I've done all I could done for Cincinnati. I've given you 8, whatever, how many years. Yes, we did get to a Super Bowl. We lost it by a few seconds, and we just can't get back right. And the Bengals have a way of, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I keep hearing they have a way of doing contracts and being a little cheap with paying players. Obviously, Trey Hendrickson won the bag or won a little more raise on top of his money. Last year was kind of a little bump in the road. So Those questions will start coming up, and then they're going to be valid questions. Then what does happen with Jamar? What happened with T? They didn't want to pay T like that. They had to come to a happy medium with T Higgins last year. So I'm curious to see how this thing shakes out for the Bengals. And then if things don't go right or things go awry, we know Zach Taylor's not going to be the head coach. What happens next, as far as Joe Burrow, et cetera, et cetera?
So you brought up a great point. So are they wasting Joe Burrow's years, or is Joe Burrow wasting years? Because the best ability is availability.
Man, I'll come through the screen right now. Don't do that. You got me started. Sicem, like I rock with Sicem 1,000%. I'll give a 4 first-round picks for that man if I could. Don't play with me.
3 seasons with 10 or fewer games played, and you can go back to the rookie season. And it was 2-7-1. You look at those records right there. 2021 and 22. That's the years that he was in the Super Bowl, and then he got to the conference championship against the Chiefs in back-to-back years. 23, and he hasn't been back since then. So that's been 3 years. But then in 23, only 10 games played. In 25, he played 8. Like I know the ownership would never. They would never get rid of this guy.
Man, I ain't gonna never say never, man. It's the Bengals we talking about.
Well, yeah, true. Because I mean, we learned in the world of sports for the past few seasons that anybody can get it.
What did $1 Million Man say? Everybody has a price.
Everybody has a price.
Absolutely.
But man, with this availability here, I know he can't help it due to whatever he got going on. Injuries happen, but could we be in a situation where this could be Joe Burrow's last year in Cincy?
I don't think so. I think something drastic has to change or has to happen for him to want out. Something drastic has to happen. Like they lose in dramatic fashion, like almost like how the Steelers Ravens lost last year to win the North or something like that. It has something like that has to go. Catastrophic things must go down for him to want out. But man, look at that man when he's right, man. 34-14, 35-12, 43-9. He went 9-8, 43-9. You sign any quarterback. If you have a blindfold and you say, hey, this quarterback right here throwing for 43-9, you taking that quarterback every day of the week if they can guarantee you the number. So yeah, man, but he has to stay healthy and the games, he ain't played he ain't had a full season in a while. So
let me ask you a question, just to make sure I'm right. When you're looking at contracts, so like I'm on spot right. When I look at cap hit, that's the number that they're getting that year, right?
It's like it's a cap hit that goes. I don't know the exact term. I don't know the exact money that they're getting, but I know that team, if they get traded or whatever, that takes a hit towards the next year's cap though. So like for example, what's his cap hit?
37,599.
So that means if he gets traded, that's 37 million from next year's cap wiped off the books already. Not unless they restructure or something.
Because the only reason I say that because we were talking about Cincinnati not paying the players, being cheap. Well, we got Joe Burrow at 37, and then we got T Higgins at 26. We got Jamar Chase at 26 as well. Orlando Brown at 19. Boye Mafe at 17. Dexter Lawrence at 15. Daxton Hill at 12. BJ Hill at 12. Brian Cook at 10. Everybody else, So I mean, they I guess they started to pay them.
yeah, they're starting to pay, but I mean, you don't let some stuff walk out that door too, bro. So I mean,
you let stuff walk out the door, and you're not able to pay the players that were there, and you're not your draft. They don't even have a real true GM. But the owner is the GM.
That's the thing.
Yeah. So you got to get a GM in there or what? Because it's clear that whoever's in the front office making these decisions, whether it's for draft picks or whether it's free agency, it ain't hitting. Especially
Yeah, that GM is like the Dollar Tree version of Jerry Jones, bro. Everything just ain't it ain't it. You know, Jerry by the way, Cowboys are valued at $15.5 billion. That is insane. When we get to Dallas, we'll dig into that. But Jerry, at least Jerry's able to put 9 All-Pros on the field at one time.
Yeah.
Bengals can't say that. They got two, Chase and Burrow. So, but yeah, man, them not having a GM is kind of, it's a family run business too, by the way. Let's just, throw that out there, which each NFL team is, but this one is more particular. Don't nothing go through. The Duke Tobin, I want to say the guy's name is Duke Tobin. I think he's like, head of personnel, whatever the case may be. I think I read that somewhere that Duke Tobin's the guy running things around there.
So them and
Uh,
Green Bay in the same department, I mean, the same situation, not the same company, not dealing with the same
No,
people.
no, I think they have owners, but I think Duke Tobin does like all of the contracts and stuff like
Oh,
that.
okay. Because you know how Green Bay is when they say, I guess
I
people.
got 5 on it, so yeah, I can own 5%. Yeah, I got
Right, right,
0.1% of the team.
a penny.
So give me a seat at the table too, boy.
What direction do you see this offense going with a Chase and a Higginson? Hopefully, both of them can be there at the same time. Because I'm there. One of them I want to say was injured last year. T. Higgins took a big chunk of the injury bug last year.
Mm-hmm.
Do with a Joe Shiesty, as you call him.
Joe Shiesty, absolutely.
Do you see this team being amongst one of the top offenses if all of these guys can just stay on the field and be healthy?
As long as you got number 9, you got a chance. And it's just that simple. We don't have to complicate these things. We know, Joe Burrow's probably one of 3 guys that you're gonna pick in the lineup. As long as number 9's on the field and healthy and he's upright, you got a chance. So it's up to the offensive line and and the team around him to make plays because he's going to pepper the ball around the field, give him to his playmakers, T. Higgins, Yoshi Voss, Jamar Chase. What's my guy? Mike Gesicki. He's going to chase Burrow in the backfield. Yeah, he's going to get the ball to those guys, man. This is what the guys going to do with the ball when they get it. And we know what Chase going to do. That ain't nothing. We ain't got to question that.
For some reason, I thought Noah Fant was on this team, but I don't think he is. That could have been a nice little tandem right there with Noah Fant.
You know about Noah Fant and Adam Troutman, so I mean,
Noah Fant got a ring.
yeah, right place, right time.
Right place, right time. Let's get into the schedule. They start week 1 against the Buccaneers. They don't have a lot of primetime games up until like toward the middle of the season, toward the end of the season. But that you look at that stretch right there, and I know people were talking about they had one of the easiest schedules. But if you're looking at week 1, 2, 3, 4, right there, I could see a situation where they're going 1-3, 2-2, especially you know how tough it is for them to start out. For the last recent years, they don't start out pretty good. And then, I mean, what do you think? Well, to start right there on the schedule, right there, do you see that 2-2, 1-3, 3-1? Where do you see that?
I see 3-1 the first 4 weeks of the season. Good luck week 2, boy. That's all I can tell you. Because Lord have mercy, them. You got to go to them boys in H Town. Joe Burrow about to ice up, son. Steve Smith said in the press conference after game, ice up, son. But yeah, I can see them beating the Bucks. I don't think the Steelers going to be much of a. I think you're a little high on the Steelers than I am.
I think
I
I
don't
think
think
I, I think I am.
I think you are. I don't think the Steelers going to be much of an issue for them. The Jaguars, I don't think it's going to be a problem. Dolphins, I don't think the Dolphins going to be nobody's problem this year. Probably ours though, week 1. But other than that, yeah, I can see them starting. I can see a world where they're 2-2 if they lose to the Steelers and then they beat the Bucks and Jaguars in the first 4 weeks. But other than that, after the schedule, Ravens, okay, we know yeah, that's a split. Titans, yeah, yeah. Falcons. You
Mm,
get you could throw Michael or two out there. Steelers, they're gonna probably split Commanders. It all depends on what JD5 and Stephon Diggs and Scary Terry can get going. Because we know that when we get to the NFC East, that's another team that the coach can be on the hot seat. The Saints, I think they'll beat the Saints. The Browns, they'll get the Browns. The Chiefs, that's always a good rivalry between Shiesty and Patty. That's gonna be a good game regardless. We know, Joe Burrow in recent years has got the best of Pat Mahomes. Carolina gonna be tough. Mm. The Ravens, that gonna be a split, and then the Browns, if it's full or seeding, I can see them taking care of the Browns
I
as well.
love how you just sweep over the Daniel Jones led Colts. I love
I,
how you did that.
brother, let me tell you, I didn't sweep over them. I vacuumed over them because I vacuumed over the Bucks. I have no faith, zero faith
that,
in the Colts at all.
that is crazy.
You know how they say you normally have faith of a mustard seed? I ain't even got that. Mm-mm,
Wow.
mm-mm.
That Chiefs rivalry that right there, it seems like it's always probably be a CBS game more than likely.
Oh, 425. I don't know if Tony Romo gonna be back since he out here doing whatever he doing. But yeah, that's gonna be a 425 CBS game for sure. Absolutely. And we might get Iron Eagle and JJ Watt on that game. I'd rather see Tony Romo and Jim Nance, but he out here and doing whatever though. But
I
yeah,
think by week 14 he should be all right. He should be
I
good.
hope so. I hope so. But you never know, man, out here in these streets, man. League funny, man.
Yeah, so you seeing about maybe 10 plus wins out of this schedule here.
Yeah, I see about 10. I'm high on the Bengals this year, man. Until I get an egg on my face here come week 5, 6. So somebody hurting there. I'm looking crazy in the face. But yeah, I'm high on the Bengals, man. I just like this offense, man. I think they got just enough on defense with the additions of Allen and they call them what they call them Sexy Dexy out there in New York to get this team, on track on the defensive side of the ball. That's
Yeah,
huge. You gave a top 10 pick for Dexter Lawrence. That goes to show you how bad and how desperate they really needed a guy like that in the middle of the defense. Because if you look back at the draft, they could have had a Caleb Downs. They could have got an Arvell Reese. They could have got some of the guys that went in a Sonny Styles, anybody like that. But they thought that a Ruben Bain for that matter. They thought that having a veteran presence in the middle of that defense was worth a top 10 pick. That is super rich, bro. So
and he
yeah,
tearing it up in camp. So I can't wait to see what he looks like in the Cincinnati Bengals uniform, as well as Jonathan Allen over there being a Robin to the Batman. So I think this team gonna be much more improved. I can definitely see them winning more than 9 games. Is from last year. So I think it just seems like it went by so quick, but it's like 34 minutes. But I think we pretty much covered all we can cover. You got anything?
yeah, yeah. Before we go, like I said, this is a big year. This is a hot seat year for Zach Taylor. He needs to win. He needs to get in the playoffs. If not, I think he'll be looking for a new job, or the Bengals will be looking for a new coach next year. I think that's going to, eventually going to come to happen anyway. Because we know some coaches they win games and they still get fired just because there's something happening, with front office or whatever though. But if things like I said, I think the Bengals are going to win the North. I'm making that prediction right now. You can stamp it right now at 34 minutes and 50 seconds. I think the Bengals will win the North, and I think they're winning by maybe 2 or 3 games. Because I just don't have faith in any of the other teams. Um, with new coaching changes, Doyle and Declan, new OC in Baltimore. We got an agent Aaron Rodgers. Can he repeat what he did last year? And Cleveland is still a question mark, even with Deshaun Watson, Shador Sanders, which we'll talk about tomorrow, in that young wide receiver room. With the new Jared Verse on the defensive side of the ball, Miles Garrett is gone now. I just think it's too many question marks with this team right now. First year head coach at Todd Monken that's been at Georgia. He's been with Baltimore with Lamar. So he's still trying to find his feet and find his way, and navigate his way of being an NFL head coach as well. So I'm definitely going to take the Bengals to win the North by maybe 2 or 3 games. I think they're going to finish 12-5. 13-4. And dare I say, AFC Championship.
Against the Broncos.
That's too much orange on the field. Nah, bro. No. Nah. No. Versus the Raiders. What are you talking about? Get it. Be for real, bro. But nah, seriously, though, I think I can see them divisional AFC Championship. I would love to see them against the Broncos. That'll be a defensive game versus a defensive team versus an offensive team. That would be a good. That would be a good dreams AFC Championship. But when a certain orange color team gets to this AFC Championship, they can't finish. So because folks snap their ankles and stuff in the divisional game. But hey,
What free agent for next year? I don't know if you have it in front of you. I have it in front of me. Bengal free agent for next year definitely has to bring in. And do you see, because they do contract extensions during the season at some point, right? But they can't.
Yeah, they can.
I'm gonna name them off here.
Okay.
Miles Murphy, Dax Hill, DJ Turner, Jordan Battle. Which one of these guys do you think gets it? Chase Brown? Which one of these guys do you think has a good chance of getting an extension? Because I can see
I'm gonna give you two.
Okay.
Dax Hill and DJ Turner. Those two.
So both guys in the secondary.
Yeah, they're good. They're good players, man. And I know this from University of Michigan, seeing them guys way back when. They're good players, bro. They just need, and they had Cam Britt helping them as last year. Remember they lost Jesse Bates a few years ago as well. He went to Atlanta on the free agency deal, so they couldn't.
Taylor.
There we go.
And he down in Atlanta,
all pro
losing,
but here all pro though.
Whatever.
But yeah, I see the corners DJ Hill and Dax Hill and DJ Turner getting the contract extensions. I think both of them will, but definitely one of them will get an extension.
Okay.
It ain't gonna be Witherspoon type, but it's gonna be an extension though. Because that young brother, boy.
Man, I gotta point one thing out before we get up out of here. Shout out to the Yankees won today, finally.
Bro, my pressure was up. That's why I was before we got on the show. I was watching the game and they blew the game in the ninth inning. You know what I'm saying? A little pop fly 2-2 and their homeboy that made the error on first base. He hit the 2-run home run, and then they gave up a third one. I'm going in the road trying to get back to the house to record, and it's 4-3. I mean, if they score, they can win. But if they don't score,
they can't score one for damn, man.
Smoke a cigarette, boy.
Like we gotta have miracles happen.
So what they got? And that ain't the standard for us, bro. That ain't the standard.
You know what ain't the standard? Why you got that Boston hat on?
I got family ties in the Boston organization.
Got you. I got you.
The only reason why.
You got anything else? I would research to the back. But I mean, hey, I get it.
We stand on ours right here, baby. But no, I ain't got nothing else. That is pissing me off anyway. I might. But no, I don't have anything else, man. I'm excited to talk about the upcoming Browns tomorrow with new head coach Deshaun Watson. His guaranteed contract should do a push on them. Taylor Green, Dylan Gabriel. I got a chance to look at their preseason game. I'll talk about some stuff that I've seen from the game. Casey Concepcion, David Boston, Judy going in, it's year 6-7 for him. Quinshawn coming off an injury, Dylan Sampson, Spencer Fano, yeah, bro. Carson Schwarzenegger, Jared Verse, Denzel Ward, Mason Graham. Them boys, they young and they loaded, bro. So tomorrow, I think this show right here that we're going to do tomorrow is the one I'll be most excited about because it's a young team on the rise. We just hope Todd Monken can do keep the car on the road and pick a starter and go from there.
Pick a starter and stick to it. Until then, we're going to bring that to you guys tomorrow. So tune back in tomorrow, and we'll be talking about the Browns, Doors, Deshaun Watson, all the names that Amon just named. We'll be right back here tomorrow. Y'all stick around, and peace out. Have a great day, everybody. See you tomorrow.